What happens when we bring together two powerful forces, the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy and the modern discoveries of neuroscience? We uncover a path that helps us rise above the chaos, the pressure, and the constant distractions of life. It's a way to reach peak performance, not by chasing quick fixes or hyped-up motivation, but by developing something far more lasting: a calm mind, steady emotions, and sharp, clear focus. The Stoics taught us how to control our thoughts, how to face hardship with strength, and how to remain grounded no matter what storms come our way. Today, neuroscience confirms what the Stoics knew long ago. Studies show that when we train our thoughts, build self-awareness, and practice discipline, our brain begins to change. New connections are formed, old habits weaken, focus and resilience grow stronger. Together, Stoicism and neuroscience offer us something close to a mental superpower. Because when we understand how the brain works, and we guide it using ancient wisdom, we don't just improve a little, we begin to transform from the inside out. We become stronger, wiser, and more focused human beings. This is the power of merging old truths with new science, not just to perform better, but to live with purpose and excellence. 1. The Stoic brain. Calm in the storm. The Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius taught us a powerful truth. We don't control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. That insight isn't just ancient wisdom, it's supported by modern neuroscience. Inside the brain, there's a region called the prefrontal cortex. This is the part that helps us think clearly, stay calm under pressure, and make thoughtful decisions. But there's also another part, the amygdala, which acts like the brain's alarm system. It's fast and reactive, especially in moments of fear, stress, or danger. Sometimes it takes over before we're even aware of it. That's when we might panic, snap, or freeze without meaning to. The good news is that we're not stuck with this reaction. We can train the brain to pause, reflect, and respond with clarity even in chaos. We can strengthen the prefrontal cortex so it stays in charge, even when emotions run high. This is exactly what the Stoics were doing thousands of years ago. They practiced a method called premeditatio malorum, which means imagining what could go wrong before it happens. But they didn't do this to worry more. They did it to prepare. Because when the real challenges came, their minds had already rehearsed how to respond. Today, modern psychology uses a very similar approach. It's called stress inoculation training. It's a technique used by athletes, soldiers, and high performers to mentally prepare for pressure before it arrives. By visualizing high-stress situations and practicing how to stay calm, we build real mental resilience. Over time, we rewire the brain. We make the prefrontal cortex stronger and the emotional reactions quieter. Neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson summed it up well when he said, "Emotional regulation is a trainable skill." In other words, calm isn't just something we're born with. It's something we build. It's a muscle, a practice, a mindset. So when life throws us into the storm, when pressure rises or emotions begin to take over, we don't get swept away. We come back to center. Not because we're naturally unshakable, but because we've trained ourselves to be. Just like the Stoics did, just like our brain is built to do when we give it the right training. 2. Focus over frenzy. Mastering attention in a distracted world. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "That's you become what you give your attention to." And that idea has never been more important than it is today. We live in a world filled with noise, constant notifications, endless messages, social media updates, and never-ending to-do lists. Our attention is being pulled in 100 different directions, every single moment. In fact, scientists now describe this as living in an attention economy, where companies and platforms are competing for one thing, our focus. Because our attention is one of the most valuable things we have. But here's the challenge. The human brain isn't built to multitask the way modern life demands. We all have something in our mind called the default mode network. It's the part of the brain that turns on when we're not focused. It drifts into thoughts about the past, worries about the future, and comparisons with others. When this happens, we feel scattered, anxious, and mentally exhausted. And most of us don't even notice it. We just assume that mental fog is normal. But this is where Stoicism and neuroscience come together in a powerful way. The Stoics believed that we should focus only on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our effort. They trained their minds to stay anchored in the present moment, not in the noise, not in the what-ifs, just in the now. And neuroscience now confirms this ancient wisdom. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, calls it top-down control. That's the ability to guide your attention on purpose, instead of letting your mind be pulled around by the world. When we start to notice distraction and gently bring our focus back to the task at hand, we're actually training the brain. Just like lifting weights builds muscle, this builds mental strength. Over time, the noise gets quieter, the mind becomes calmer, and then something remarkable happens. We start to enter what psychologists call a flow state. This is a powerful mental zone where we feel completely focused, fully immersed, and deeply alive. In flow, time seems to slow down, or even disappear. We stop overthinking, stop second-guessing, and simply perform at our best. During these moments, scientists have discovered that the thinking part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, actually powers down for a short time. It's a process called transient hypofrontality that might sound complex, but all it means is that we stop getting in our own way. We stop interrupting ourselves with doubt, fear, and distraction. And instead, our best work flows through us, naturally, effortlessly. So when we combine the ancient Stoic practice of focusing only on what we can control with the modern science of attention, we unlock something truly powerful. We learn to direct our focus like a beam of light, sharp, steady, and intentional, not scattered, not frantic, just calm and clear, like a candle burning quietly in the middle of chaos. Because when we master our attention, we don't just perform better, we become better. We take back control of our lives, one moment of focus at a time. 3. Turning pain into power, the neuroscience of voluntary discomfort. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, believed that comfort, when taken too far, makes us fragile. He saw luxury not as a reward, but as a trap, a slow erosion of strength, discipline, and courage. That's why, even though he was wealthy, Seneca deliberately chose to experience discomfort. He would sleep on hard ground, wear old, rough clothing, eat the simplest food. He wasn't doing this to punish himself, but to prepare his mind. He wanted to remind himself that he could endure difficulty, that if comfort ever disappeared, he would still be strong. This practice, known as voluntary discomfort, might seem strange today, but modern neuroscience now confirms what Seneca instinctively understood. The brain is designed to grow through challenge. In fact, exposing ourselves to small, controlled amounts of stress, what scientists call hormetic stress, can actually improve our mental and physical performance. When we do something hard, like stepping into a cold shower, pushing through a tough workout, or even sitting quietly with no phone, our brain responds. A region called the locus coeruleus becomes active, releasing a chemical called norepinephrine. This chemical sharpens our focus, improves our alertness, and helps us stay emotionally balanced. It's like the brain's way of saying, pay attention, something important is happening. Over time, these small moments of chosen discomfort train the nervous system to stay calm under pressure. Just like lifting weights strengthens our muscles, stepping into challenge strengthens the mind. We become less reactive, less afraid, more capable of handling real-life adversity because we've practiced it in safe, intentional ways. And that's exactly what the Stoics were after. They didn't want life to be easy. They wanted to be ready for when it wasn't. In our modern world, it's easier than ever to avoid discomfort. Everything is designed for convenience, speed, and comfort. But if we always choose what's easy, we slowly lose our edge. We forget that we are capable of doing hard things. Voluntary discomfort helps us remember. It reconnects us with our inner strength. It teaches us that resilience is not something we're born with. It's something we build. The Stoics didn't have brain scans or research papers, but they knew, deep down, that comfort is a poor teacher. And today, neuroscience proves them right. Choosing small challenges every day can change the brain, strengthen the spirit, and unlock a deeper kind of confidence. Not the kind that comes from pretending everything is fine, but the kind that comes from knowing deep in your bones, "I can handle this." 4. The art of letting go, dopamine, desire, and discipline. In today's fast-moving world, we're constantly chasing the next thing, the next message, the next win, the next hit of approval. And every time we get it, even something as small as a notification or a like, our brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is part of the brain's reward system. It makes us feel good when we achieve something or experience pleasure. It's not bad. In fact, it's essential for motivation. But here's the problem. When we chase dopamine constantly, we begin to depend on it. The brain starts to crave more, but enjoy it less. Over time, we become less satisfied, more restless, and easily bored. Dr. Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, explains it clearly. The more we pursue pleasure, the more we dull our capacity for it. It's like turning up the volume on a song until your ears go numb. The feeling fades, and we find ourselves needing more just to feel the same. The Stoics saw this danger long ago. They understood that if we tie our happiness to external rewards, wealth, praise, fame, or even success, we'll never feel truly stable. These things are outside our control, and when we lose them, we feel empty. That's why the Stoics practiced moderation. Not because they rejected joy, but because they wanted to feel it more deeply. They knew that true joy doesn't come from chasing pleasure. It comes from finding peace in the present moment and doing what's right, no matter the outcome. Modern psychology supports this idea through what's called self-determination theory. It says that people feel most alive and motivated not when they're chasing rewards, but when their actions come from within. When we act from a place of autonomy, our own free will, mastery, growing our skills, and purpose, serving something greater than ourselves, we unlock a deeper, longer-lasting form of motivation. This is called intrinsic motivation, and it's what drives high performers, great leaders, and fulfilled human beings. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, put it perfectly when he said, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." In other words, when we let go of needing constant rewards or approval and focus instead on effort, values, and growth, we become free. We perform better not because we're chasing something, but because we're aligned with something steady, something honest. So the lesson is simple but powerful. Let go of needing every action to bring instant pleasure. Don't let your brain be hijacked by the next reward. Instead, train it to find meaning in the process, in the effort, in the quiet satisfaction of doing your best even when no one's watching. That's where real discipline begins. That's where lasting fulfillment lives. 5. The final lesson, from knowing to being. It's one thing to learn about Stoicism, to understand the brain, to read the quotes, watch the videos, and nod along with the ideas. But the real change, the kind that reshapes your life, happens only when we take what we know and turn it into how we live. Not once in a while, not when it's easy, but every day, with intention. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't just talk about wisdom, they practiced it, again and again, especially when things got hard. That's why Marcus Aurelius journaled almost every day, not to sound wise, but to become wise. He wrote to train his mind, to challenge his thinking, to stay grounded. And modern science shows just how powerful that daily practice really is. Our brains are constantly changing. This ability is called neuroplasticity, a term made widely known by Dr. Norman Doidge. It means the brain literally rewires itself based on what we focus on, how we respond to challenges, and the habits we repeat. If we constantly feed our mind with fear, comparison, and distraction, the brain becomes wired for anxiety. But if we train it with presence, reflection, and resilience, it becomes wired for peace and strength. This is why small daily practices matter so much. Taking 5 minutes to journal what you're grateful for, pausing in the middle of stress to take a few slow, deep breaths, challenging a negative thought and replacing it with a clearer, more helpful one. These may seem simple, but over time, they build an inner fortress. They make the brain more balanced, more focused, more emotionally steady. And this isn't about becoming perfect. It's not about forcing yourself to never feel anything. The Stoics didn't say, "Don't feel." They said, "Don't be ruled by your feelings. Don't let emotions decide your actions." Feel deeply, but act wisely. Modern psychology agrees. Tools like cognitive reappraisal, the ability to reframe how we see a situation, are proven to reduce stress and improve decision-making. Stoicism taught this long ago. Change the story in your mind and you change your life. So the final lesson is this: real power comes not from knowing more, but from living what you know, from choosing courage when comfort would be easier, from staying present when your mind wants to panic, from seeking purpose, not praise, as your North Star. In the end, combining neuroscience with Stoicism is not just a way to perform better, it's a way to become better. To lead a life of depth, strength, and meaning, not just for success, but for excellence of character. In conclusion, something powerful begins to unfold when we bring together the science of the brain and the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. It's more than just an idea, it's a transformation. We stop reacting automatically to life's challenges, and we start responding with clarity and purpose. Instead of being pulled in every direction, we learn to guide our attention where it matters most. We begin to choose focus over distraction, presence over panic, and discipline over impulsive desire. As we train ourselves to face discomfort, whether it's physical pain, emotional stress, or mental fatigue, we stop fearing it. We realize that pain isn't the enemy, avoiding it is, because every time we lean into difficulty instead of running from it, we grow stronger, not just in body but in mind, in character, in who we are becoming. At the same time, we stop chasing constant rewards. We stop needing every action to be praised or liked or applauded. We learn to find joy in the process itself, in doing what is right, not what is easy. This quiet form of confidence isn't loud or flashy. It doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from knowing we're aligned with our values, grounded in purpose and moving with intention. This is what happens when knowledge becomes practice, when inspiration becomes action, when we stop just knowing what's good and start doing it. Not perfectly, not always easily, but consistently. Day by day, breath by breath, we begin to embody the kind of strength that doesn't waver, the kind of discipline that doesn't depend on mood, the kind of mindset that rises when everything else falls. Because in the end, peak performance isn't about being the best once. It's about showing up fully, again and again, with courage, focus, and resilience. It's not about chasing a finish line. It's about choosing a way of living. And that choice begins, not tomorrow, not someday, but right here, right now, in this moment, with one breath, one thought, one decision to take the next step forward. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to take your mind, your habits, and your performance to a higher level, then this is just the beginning. We're building a space here for thinkers, doers, and everyday warriors who want to master their mind and live with purpose. So if you found value in this video, give it a like. It helps more people find this kind of content. And if you're hungry for more science-backed strategies, timeless Stoic wisdom, and tools to train your brain for clarity, discipline, and growth, subscribe to the channel. Together, we're not just learning, we're becoming. One breath, one choice, one powerful step at a time. Train the mind, shape the brain, master the self,